No, you have to accept it. I get hay fever in the summer.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to Jesus. All glories to Sri Guru Sri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 10th canto, 7th chapter, and entitled The Killing of the Demon Trinavarta, text 37. Saviksha Visvam Sahasa Rajan Sanjata Vipatu Samyaya Mriga Savakche Nitre Asitsu Vismita Saviksha Visvam Sahasa Rajan Sanjata Vipatu Samyaya Mriga Savakche Asitsu Vismita Saviksha Visvam Sahasa Rajan Sanjata Vipatu Samyaya Mriga Savakche Nitre Asitsu Vismita
Vishvam Sahasa Sanjata Vipatu Samyaya Mriga Savakshi Nitre Asitsu Vismita Saviksha Vishvam Sahasa Sanjata Vipatu Saviksha Vishvam Sahasa Rajan Sanjata Vipatu Samyaya Mriga Savakshi Nitre Asitsu Vismita.
Ladies.
Saviksha Vishvam Sahasa
Mother Yasoda, Viksya, by seeing, Vishwam, the whole universe, Sahasa, suddenly within the mouth of her son, Rajan, O king, Maharaj Pariksit, Sanjatavi Patu, whose heart was beating, Samilya, opening, Mrikasava When Mother Yasoda saw the whole universe within the mouth of her child, her heart began to throb, and in astonishment, she wanted to close her restless eyes. Purport. Because of her pure maternal love, Mother Yasoda thought that this wonderful child, playing so many tricks, must have had some disease. She did not appreciate the wonder shown by her child. Rather, she wanted to close her eyes. She's expecting another danger, and therefore her eyes became restless, like those of a deer cub. This was all the arrangement of Yoga Maya. The relationship between Mother Yasoda and Krishna is one of pure maternal love. In that love, Mother Yasoda did not very much appreciate the display of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's opulences. At the beginning of this chapter, 2 extra verses sometimes appear. Evam bahuni karmani gopanam samsayositam nandasya grihe vavride kurvan Vishnu janardana. In this way, to chastise and kill the demon, the child Krishna demonstrated many activities in the house of Nanda Maharaj, and the inhabitants of Vraja enjoyed these incidents. Evam savivavride Vishnur nandage janardana kurvanasinam anandam gopalanam sajositam. To increase the transcendental pleasure of the Gopas and the Gopis, Krishna, the killer of all demons, was thus raised by his father and mother, Nanda and Yasoda. Shripad Vijayatirtha also adds another verse after the 3rd verse in this chapter. Vistar reneha karumyat sarva papa pranasanam vaktum arasi dharmagya dayadustam iti prabho. Pariksit Maharaj then requested Sukadeva Goswami to continue speaking with such narrations about the pastimes of Krishna, so that the king could enjoy from them transcendental bliss. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Killing of the Demon Trinavarta. I had promised Pandu that I would look up the word Trinavarta, and I did it actually. And it is, Trina is not surprising, is straw or grass. And Vartana is what makes things turn, to turn. So it's what turns the straw and the grass up in the sky. Whirlwind. Wervelwind. Whirlwind. Yes. Meanwhile, we have moved on, and as the pastime of Trinavarta began with Krishna sitting on the lap of his mother, but Krishna became heavy, and then Trinavarta took the child up into the sky, but because he had already shown before that he was going to get heavy, he got heavy with Trinavarta as well, and as a result, a bit too heavy for Trinavarta, who smashed on the ground, and that was the end of that part of the story. But now, then Krishna was again on the lap of his mother after that, and then she saw in his mouth, she saw all these, the entire universe and herself as well within that universe. So basically, she's seeing in Krishna's mouth the whole universe. She sees Krishna there, and she is seeing herself looking in the mouth, and in the mouth of that Krishna, she sees again the whole universe, and it just goes on and on, many levels. So at that stage, Mother Yasoda got confused, and she was thinking, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, she was thinking, maybe I've lost it, maybe I've gone mad at this stage. But then she said, no, but that would be awkward because I have no history of madness, and why would I just go mad right at this moment? It's unlikely. And I said, like, well, maybe it's Deva Maya, maybe the demigods are doing this. She said, but why would the demigods do this? I'm just an ordinary woman, and demigods, they don't interfere with us, so why would the demigods do such a thing? And then she said, is it then maybe because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, And is it then maybe that I'm actually not the queen of Vrindavan and that all these residents are actually not my subjects? And then she just stood there, overwhelmed, for a moment suspecting that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he crawled on the ground like a child, just picked him up and put him on her lap and forgot everything once again. So in this way, Krishna performs his transcendental pastimes. This particular pastime of Krishna showing the entire universe in his mouth is very interesting because it is really the Achintya Veda Veda Tattva philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that is being displayed there. Bhagavatam begins with the verse Janmadhyasya Yadun Vyat Itartas Chate Svabhikya Surat Tene Brahmaridaya Vikavye Muyantiyat Suryaha Tejo Varimadam Yatavani Mayo Yatatri Sargamisa Damnisvena Sadanirastakurkam Satyam Param Dimahi, which describes that Krishna is the origin of everything. Janmadhyasya Yataha. He is not only the origin of everything, but he is also abhigya. He also knows everything about everything. And yet he is also swarat. He is also independent. So that's interesting. These are all Krishna's energies. And here is Krishna. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of a cowherd boy, and he's walking in the universe, and the universe is his energy. So, if you think, if we do some mathematics, then we think God would be then Krishna, the person, plus his energies. That would be Godhead, right? If you logically think. But that's not the case. Krishna is everything. The universe is within him, and at the same time he is within the universe. How that works mathematically doesn't rhyme, but it's all included in Krishna. And that is the amazing feature. How Krishna manifests all these energies which exist outside of him. And so many things are happening around him, but it's all him. And how is that possible? And everything is included within him. And if you had any doubt about it, just look over Mother Yasoda's shoulder into Krishna's mouth, and you'll see everything is there. See? So in this way, that is the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That everything is simultaneously one and many. That is what we're seeing. So exactly illustrated by Krishna. So when we look for evidence of the Achintya Veda Veda Tattva philosophy, it begins right there at Srimad Bhagavatam, at the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. We see that Krishna is in this way he fulfills different purposes. In the first part of the chapter, he is fulfilling the purpose of paritranaya sadhanam vinasya saduskritam dharma samstarpanatya sambhavami yuke. He is appearing to annihilate demons and to establish the principles of religion. But that is not the primary purpose of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is simply what he does for the conditioned souls. Somehow or other, souls that have forgotten him, out of his causeless mercy, Krishna makes arrangements to cut down a few demons, to establish a few principles of religion, so that the conditioned souls can gradually become elevated and gradually can become free from all that material covering. Avritam jnanamitena yoginam nityavaina kamarupina kuntiya dushpurina nanena cha. That the living being is covered because of lust, which burns in the heart, and that has covered his transcendental knowledge. So as a result, The living beings are under the influence of avidya, of ignorance, and therefore not aware of Krishna, not aware of that Krishna is Rasuvaisaha, that he is the reservoir of all pleasure. And therefore they look for their pleasure elsewhere, because living beings are anandamoy pyasat, by nature pleasure-seeking. And so the living being is described as apareya mitastvanyam prakitin vidime param jivabhuta mahabaho yayedandayate jagat, as the one who is manipulating and exploiting the energies within this universe for his own personal enjoyment, and that keeps the living beings quite busy. So therefore Krishna disseminates transcendental knowledge into the universe and also performs supernatural activities in attracting the minds of the conditioned souls away from the material energy and showing them that the demons who are deeply involved in the material energy, in trying to enjoy the material energy, and as a result have become cruel and destructive and hard-hearted and selfish. Aghasura takes the form of a snake. And why is it so? Because Aghasura is completely cold-blooded. He is cold-blooded. For him, every living being is a utensil. He has no feelings with any human being. He just uses them, utensil. And so that utensil mentality is sometimes found in smaller demons, and we can look at ourselves. To what extent are we just insensitive and just using others for achieving our goals? It's an interesting consideration. Putana is the false guru, right? Mother is the first guru, the first teacher, and Putana is the false guru, right? She is coming to kill him rather than teaching him how to attain perfection. So in this way, each of these demons represent a particular demoniac mentality, which is also connected to this attempt to enjoy the material energy and exploit the material energy. And why is that so? Jayatu Visya Punsam. When we meditate on material things, then Sangat Sanjayati Kama, then we begin to develop attachment to these things. And then our lusty desires are awakened in relationships to these things. And then we try to enjoy them, but it doesn't really work. And then the result is frustration, anger. With kids, you see it, just throw the toy around the room. Adults express their anger a little more subtle. But then that anger may come out in envy. If I can't enjoy, then nobody can enjoy, for example. In this way, we see how the living being is gradually becoming caught up in a network of sinful activities. And then in lust is completely about satisfying one's own senses. And then another person becomes a utensil. Right? So that other person who's the object of our sex desire is just some sort of sex machine which can be utilized, right, for one's enjoyment, but there's zero feelings. Then we have come to the platform of gross lust, and sometimes we see rape and murder and so on. Then it's gone to its extreme of demoniac mentality. So we see how Krishna, paritranaya sadhanam vinasya saduskritam, has plenty to do in destroying the demoniac and demoniac mentalities, and in bringing in uplifting knowledge. But this is the secondary purpose of the Supreme Lord. The primary purpose of the Supreme Lord is to increase love of God in all living beings. That is his real purpose. There are two types of qualities in the activities of the Lord. One are known as Tatastha Laksan, and the other one are known as Sarup Laksan. So the Tatastha Laksan are dealing with qualities which deal with the temporary material energy, killing a few demons and so on, establishing some religious principles. That's all the temporary work in the material world. But increasing the love of his devotees is Swarup Laksan. These are eternal activities. This never ends. This is not only going on in the material world, but this is also going on eternally in the spiritual world. And even with Mother Yasoda, who is an eternal associate of Krishna. She's a Parisat devotee. She is a Ragatmika devotee, a devotee who is completely the personification of Rag, the personification of attachment to Krishna. Her whole being is about attachment to Krishna, but still it is Krishna's purpose to increase her attachment, to increase her love. That is Krishna's business. And that is what he's doing with every single living being. He's trying to increase their attachment. Therefore, Krishna is not just a passive personality, but therefore Krishna is described as a transcendental Kamadev who shoots arrows into the hearts of the living being. When we are reading something about Cupid, we have to go a little bit beyond Srila Prabhupada's books and look at other Vedic texts, because there's not a lot of information about Cupid. But we're seeing that Cupid is just shooting arrows into the hearts of every living being in the material world. And then suddenly, their eyes have flowered rims and pink glasses and, love. Of course, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has this description which describes, and you see this person, and you see how the person is an ocean of qualities, a whole ocean of qualities. And then, as you get to know the person, you walk around the shores of that ocean, realize it's no bigger than a pond, and you never care to see that person again. This is falling in love and falling out of love, right? And what can we say? That is the material dynamics. But when it comes to Krishna, there is no question of walking around the ocean of his qualities. It is truly an ocean. It is even the metaphor of an ocean falls short, because an ocean does have its boundaries, although it's very, very large. But, there is an edge to the ocean. But there is no limit to Krishna's qualities. And therefore, there is no limit to love. There is no limit. And that love increases eternally. And that is what Krishna is doing here. When he shows Mother Yasoda this whole universe, he is trying to increase her love. And he is showing his transcendental qualities. But her love is stronger. Her love is stronger, because although for a moment his opulence is overwhelming her, for a moment when she starts to logically think about it, and she has gone through the thing, have I gone mad? Not likely. Are the demigods doing this? Not likely. Then it must be Krishna. But if he can do these things, then how can he be human? Then he must be the Supreme Lord. But she conveniently forgets again, because the love in her heart is much greater, is the predominant feature. Everything serves that love. Her intelligence serves that love. Her whole existence serves that love. The spiritual world is very different from the material world, in the sense that in the material world, Srila Yamuna Acharya is explaining that in the material world everything is limited by time, space, and thought. You cannot go beyond there's limits of our thought. There is the limit of time and limit of space. So time is the force in this material world which humbles everyone. Even the biggest demon becomes weak and old at one stage, and is not so powerful anymore. Even the most powerful man loses his power, right? And even the biggest bodybuilder might, in his old age, has to walk with a cane, or worse, maybe earlier. Maybe Krishna knows. Krishna knows these things. Yeah. So whatever may be. And there's the Bengali story of the old lady who's all bent over, because you see these Bengali old ladies with their backs on a 90-degree angle, and they permanently walk like that. Right? So this old lady is walking like that, with her nose on the ground. And one young man says, "Grandma, what happened? Have you lost something?" She said, "You fool, can't you see that I've lost the pearl of my youth?" Yeah. Well, there you go. So time is the predominant feature in the material world. And basically, the dynamics of time are, if we hear about it, there are sat avikar. There are 6 transformations in time. Something comes into being, it grows, it flourishes, it gives off some byproducts, it begins to dwindle, and it ceases to exist. So you see the dynamics. In time, it's coming up, and then it's going down. So this is what Krishna is doing. Here you are, the mouse, right? And little mouse finally becomes tiger, and then tiger becomes mouse again, right? Because tiger once becomes a little bit proud. By the time we've become tiger, we just suddenly want to eat our teacher or the one who is blessing us. Then be a mouse again. So time, karma, it's all about being a mouse again. Karma is another thing. It's a strange thing. Like I recently met someone who broke a leg, and there you go. You broke a leg, and it is, well, you're lucky. It's just a diminished karmic reaction. What for? What for? What did I do? Did I step on someone's toes or something that my foot has to be broken now? What offense have I committed with my foot that now I'm breaking my foot? I'm not only breaking my foot, but it's also breaking my head, trying to understand why I broke my foot. Yeah? So, does it make sense? It's something like a child walks past and you just go like, bang. You give it a big slap, and it's like, wow, what was that for? So karma is blind. So what are we doing with that? Just blind. How can we come to repentance? Right? If I don't know what I got punished for, how can I sort of come to a point where I rise above it and sort of say, okay, not again? No, that's not real. Rarely, sometimes you have something where you really feel, I know why I got this. I know. And there's a sense of repentance. But in most cases, it's just Purna Musika Bhav. Be a mouse again. Bang. Break a leg. And now you can sit for a while. Or lie down for a while. And think about it. Just think about things. Boom. A little pandemonium. So, you can think now. Like this, karma is blind, but it reduces us to a mouse again. So these dynamics of Purna Musika Bhav are basically going on in the material world with time and karma. In the spiritual world, time is, it is said sometimes time is absent. In one sense, time is absent, that nothing is bound by time. But in another sense, there is still sequence. It's still morning. There's still Astakaliya pastimes. There's still 8 times of the day, right? So there's still a sequence of activities, and Krishna leaves home and Krishna comes back. So it still looks like time, They've been out in the forest the whole day, and the residents of Vrindavan had been it was like an eternity for them to bear the separation, and we can't wait, and the tallest gopi is on the tower of Yasoda's palace, and there the whole day, and then finally in the evening the word comes, dust! And then we go, finally they're coming back. And Krishna and the cowherd boys and all the calves and cows are returning from the forest. So in one sense, time is there, but time is not governing. Time is not ruling. Like when it's breakfast time and Krishna takes breakfast, he takes breakfast at home, and it's quite a breakfast. And then after that, he takes breakfast at the neighbors. And he just takes breakfast at all the neighbors, and it just stays breakfast time. Because the spiritual world is not governed by time. The spiritual world is governed by rasa. Right? And ras ultimately means prem. Ras is an expression of prem. It is one of the ingredients of experiencing Krishna prem in various ways and mellows. That's what it's about. And that's what the spiritual world is about. So everything is adjusted for us. You go on parikram in Vrindavan and we hire a jeep, right? And we drive with this jeep all over Vrindavan, and you see a number of holy places, and you come back at night and you're finished. You're finished from just driving over the dam and seeing these holy places. Well, Krishna was walking with his cowherd boy friends. You go, come on, how could he walk all these distances? And that says, no, it's no problem, because the distances adjust for Krishna. They adjust. They become shorter. Or longer if he wants to, whatever is favorable for the ras. And he walks the full distance, he saw all the places, but it was shorter. It didn't last very long. Or other times, it was longer. We see that. We see the rasa dance lasts one night, but Krishna extended the duration of the night to last an entire night of Brahma. So time in these things is not the issue. It is ras. And that is what is the issue when Mother Yasoda looks in the mouth of Krishna, and it becomes a little. Krishna is sort of testing her love. He shows a little bit of his opulence, his Aishwarya. And just for a moment, she gets overtaken by this Aishwarya, by this opulence. And then Madhurya wins. Then her love wins. and pushes away this whole concept, Krishna is God. And this happens again and again in the spiritual world. Same thing, Nanda Maharaj takes his bath in the Yamuna to end Ekadasi. It happens to be the beginning of Dwadasi. So he goes to the Yamuna, but he's a little bit too early in the Yamuna. So the servants of Yamaraj, of Varuna, they arrest him and they pull him down in the water and bring him before Varuna. So Nanda Maharaj is seeing Varuna. Now, there's lots of jewels in the ocean, so Varuna, his opulence is something else. Jewels everywhere and amazing feature. Clearly, Varuna. So Nanda Maharaj is like totally overwhelmed. I never imagined to see Varuna. Meanwhile, in Vrindavan, alarm, Nanda Maharaj! Drown, Nanda Maharaj, drowned in the Yamuna. Krishna tightens his belt, jumps in the water. Moments later, Krishna appears there in front of Varuna. And Varuna comes from his throne, falls flat on the ground, stands up and says, finally, this birth, after so many births, is successful. Because finally, in this birth, I'm seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Nanda Maharaj goes like, Varuna says that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Authority says, then he must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna says, while Varuna is offering these prayers, thank you for the prayers, we have got no time for all of that, gotta go, because the residents of Vrindavan are all in anxiety. We both disappeared into the Yamuna. So moments later, he grabs Nanda, they come out of the Yamuna and re-emerge. Wow. Krishna saved Nanda Maharaj and all this. Then Nanda Maharaj tells the whole thing. Varuna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. No. Yes. No. Jesus, everyone. Krishna, you fooled us all this time, you are God, really. This is something. Now, Krishna, if you're God, right, well, then you got to show us something. Krishna says, okay, what would you like? I said, well, can you show us the Brahman Jyoti? He says, that's so boring. Why don't I show you Golok? Oh, that's good. Yes, show us Golok. And then Krishna shows them Golok. And what they see is that Golok is exactly the same as their village. So nothing had changed. Right? So Krishna is showing them Golok. The only thing is, there are these Vedas personified. They are there. They are present. So there are these personalities. So everyone's looking, who are those personalities who are there? Oh, the Vedas personified. Oh, yeah. So everyone is talking, yeah, we saw Golok, yeah. Just like our village, Golok, yeah. And then everyone is for a while they're talking about Krishna's God. And then someone says, have you heard? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Everyone says, yeah. Old hat. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that Krishna is God. Yes. So after a while, they just stop talking about it because it's not news anymore, and then they just forget about it. Right? And even when they knew that Krishna was God, they didn't become overwhelmed by awe and reverence. Right? It's just like, well, he's one of our village. It's like Vasudeva and Devaki, when they remember Krishna and Balaram are God, they didn't embrace their sons. They didn't embrace them. But residents of Vrindavan, they are not touched by this awe and reverence. And even in the face of it, when they're tested, no. For a moment they're in awe, because it is awesome to show all the universes in your mouth. It is pretty impressive, lifting a hill. Of the whole little Krishna series, it's my favorite one where Govardhan is lifted, because it's like, you hear the noises, and Govardhan is ripped from the earth, dramatic effects, and it's really sort of expanded I never thought of the sound effects, but it must be true. There must have been really serious noises when Krishna lifted Govardhan. So yes, that is awesome. But then everyone understood. It can't be Krishna that is lifting Govardhan. It's Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd man, because Krishna is only a child. They are lifting the hill, and they make Krishna believe that he's lifting the hill. You know how it is. You know, it's a kid. So like this whole Yogamaya is so amazing that it makes the devotees forget. And so Mother Yasoda, for a moment, understood Krishna as the Supreme Lord, and then just forgot. And this is the unique quality of Goloka Vrindavan, and this is the most amazing thing, actually, if we think about the unique nature of Vrindavan and of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the movement that we are part of. I'll stop here. Any questions? Any comments? How do the personified Vedas look? Well, in the Krishna book or in the Bhagavatam, they are described like effulgent personalities. And these effulgent personalities, demigod-like personalities, who are offering prayers. They're offering prayers. They're constantly glorifying the Lord. So they're offering prayers. That's what they do. And they look very effulgent. That's all we have. Yeah. That's also there. Yeah, there are various personalities who became attracted to Krishna because of his pastimes and who desired to be gopis. There are the Gopakanyas, the daughters of the cowherd men. There are the Rishicharis, the sages of Dandakaranya. There are the Deva Kanyas, the daughters of the demigods, and then there are also the Vedas personified, and they all. It's understandable because these Vedas personified, they have these intimate pastimes, right, within their knowledge, and they had a desire to experience it. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami has described the Vedas personified in an interesting discussion. Gopakumar is traveling to higher and higher destinations. At one point he comes in Brahmaloka. Then Gopakumar gets the position of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma has to temporarily go somewhere, ask Gopakumar to look after. So Gopakumar is having the position. And then one day in the court of Lord Brahma, the Vedas personified are present, and they start a debate. They start a whole discussion, this whole argument between the Vedas, and the Upanishads are really trying to dominate the discussion to a point where some confidential agamas and some confidential Puranas and Upanishads, like the Bhagavatam and the Gopal Tapani Upanishad and other such literatures, they just walked out of the assembly. They walked out. So it was a whole drama, they're senior, and they just walked out. So everyone went after them and said, please, have we offended you? Oh, no, please come back. Please don't leave. That's not auspicious. So they brought them back and then allowed them to speak. And then the Bhagavatam established the glories of Krishna. So the Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedic literature, and that describes the pastimes of the gopis, so the Vedas personified. They know that very well, that the Bhagavatam is pradhan, is the foremost. Therefore, it's not surprising that the Vedas personified developed that desire to become gopis. And that desire was fulfilled. Anyone else? Yes?
When we reach the spiritual world, do we remember that we were in the lower planets?
Well, Srila Prabhupada wrote about his spiritual master, and he said that 2 letters, and in the first letter he says, "Now my spiritual master has resumed his original form in the Nitya Lila of Krishna as a Manjari." He writes like this. And then he writes a little later, a second letter, "And now that my spiritual master has taken his form as a Manjari, I'm sure that he's still watching everything I do." So that's interesting. Still watching everything I do. I thought, well, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is watching everything, then Prabhupada must be watching all of us. Some of us might get nervous. But that is the case. So yes, one can still remember, one can still from that platform relate to the spiritual, to the material world, if one so desires. But of course, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada are doing so because they are looking at the spiritual movement of Lord Chaitanya in this material world. So when we go back to Godhead this lifetime, now at the end of this lifetime, then we can still look from the spiritual world and see what's going on with Lord Chaitanya's movement. So we're not going to miss out. A bit, of course, I mean, because it is going to be a lot of fun during this golden age. That's for sure. So if you go to spiritual with this life, you miss out a little. But you can still see.
Also, Srila Prabhupada says somewhere that when we go back to the spiritual world, and then our remembrance from this material world, he says it's like a nightmare.
It's like a nightmare? Is it?
Like
I just missed one word. It's like a what?
Just like a nightmare.
A nightmare, yeah, I couldn't hear it.
That we wake up from a nightmare, yeah.
Awaken from a nightmare. Yes. So who has time to think about such things? Even now, can I still remember all the crazy things I did before I joined the Hare Krishna movement? Yes, I can. But they really were crazy. And why would I? Why would I? Only sometimes when it makes sense, in some discussion, but otherwise, why bother with that? It's just stay here. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the mention. We just been mentioning Yashoda and Krishna showed the universe now spoken with Govardhan and Leela. So I'm just wondering, for some of us who are hearing that, it's kind of okay in a sense that we are not thrilled and attracted to that. Or it sometimes looks naive or the more intimate Krishna's friends and family. So how do we deal with that, to become offensive or being bored?
Yeah.
Which some of us are in that category. How do we deal with that properly?
Yeah, so not only have we lost our taste for Krishna's pastimes, but we also have developed attachment to other tastes. Right? Like I gave in my previous lecture, which I gave last week, I gave the example that the Krishna book, I couldn't read it because it didn't have the excitement, like of a thriller, what I mean? Like the suspense, who's gonna win? And it was always Krishna who was winning. So I wasn't so impressed at first. Yes, we are not so attracted to God. We're more impressed by the Godzilla, or something like that. That's what they do. They create Godzillas. Like the demons create Godzillas, right? Or they create Spider-Man instead of Hanuman, and in this way they borrow from all these personalities. Right? They borrow and then create their alternative. Say, oh, this is much more interesting, much more exciting, and these stories about Krishna are so childish. And here we are, modern people, overexposed and blasé, right? Like, I went to the Czech Republic one time on Padayatra, and then the devotees, they go into a village, and then they do a spontaneous play, and it's always liquid beauty, right? And then they have benches, they have like wooden benches, they put these wooden benches, and adults were sitting down on those benches. Yeah? The adults sat down on the wooden benches, and then they saw liquid beauty play, and they were like really like wow, and they loved it, And then I stood there with my blasé, Western European arrogance, like I mean, God, this is like really not a high standard of performance, How can I look at this? And I would never sit on those benches. No way. That's for children, at best, right? How could you just sit on these benches? But the people in the villages, they had that innocence still. And so we've lost our innocence. We are well-trained demons. And now what? How can we awaken our attraction to Krishna? It's going to take some time. Therefore, at first, we need to approach it more intellectually. Like if you go, we have Bhaktivinoda Thakur's reference that each of the demons that is killed by Krishna actually represents a certain psychological state, a certain anartha. Oh, now it's interesting. Psychology, Carl Jung, yes, yeah, intellectual, okay, yes. Then I can handle it. Otherwise, it's just fairy tale-like. So we need some extra dimensions for us to swallow it. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta does it also. He speaks about the Kamsas and the Putanas of the modern age, and turns Kamsa and Putana into prototypes. Oh, that's much more interesting than Kamsa itself, right? It's like some sort of villain from a story, No, but now that he's a psychological prototype, okay, yes. So in this way, we are too blasé to just, in an innocent way, appreciate the pastimes of Krishna. But then we approach him in an intellectual way, and then we can become attracted. Little by little, we can become attracted. But it may take some time. I went around the room one time in a lecture. We were at a lecture in Amsterdam years ago, and I'm asking all the devotees in the room, what can you just mention something in Krishna that attracts you? So, well, if you do that, if you go around, obviously someone's going to say, he plays his flute, someone's going to say, because he has lotus eyes and lotus feet, and someone's going to say, because he kills demons and this. And then there was one devotee who said, because he's the cause of the effect. I won't mention who it was, leave it up to you to guess. But he said, because he's the cause of the effect, you know. And I go, what? Why do you think Krishna is all attractive? Because he's the cause of the effect. And I go, okay, thanks. Thanks for your contribution. So, you know, maybe we need to first approach Krishna through Gyan before we can approach him through Ras. Name will help. Ananda.
Maharajan, you say Krishna's Swarup Lakshana is relationship.
Ras, yes. Rasa Vaisa.
So, could we then make a connection saying because Krishna so much is just eager about relationship, even if the devotee comes forward, has so much other baggage and stuff and things going on that Krishna doesn't care for that, he just is so eager for the relationship, he will accept it, and therefore there's going to be chaos.
Hold on. I was with you, and then suddenly you jumped to chaos. Can you do that again?
Yes. Because Krishna, if there's like something there that the devotees coming forward with, Krishna's so eager to accept it.
Yeah.
But then there may be so much baggage coming along with that devotee's offering. But Krishna doesn't care for the baggage. He wants the reciprocation. He wants that exchange. Therefore, as we are pure devotees, chaos must be there because all the other stuff is going to come along with you too. And therefore, but Krishna doesn't care for that. We're into how we deal with all the stuff.
Yeah. Well,
it's inevitable. So
if you define chaos as that which is out of control, right? The material world is always out of our control. So apparently it's chaos, although it is a very refined arrangement by Krishna and totally under his control. But from our perspective, it's chaos. Because in one sense, chaos doesn't exist. It's just because it means something that's not under control. But everything is always under control. It's just another way of Krishna's plan. And we experience, chaos means we're constantly experiencing that we want to control the material energy and we cannot control the material energy. But in the spiritual world, it's not about controlling the energy. That's not the difficult. It's about trying to control Krishna, capturing Krishna's feelings. It says a devotee doesn't want anything in exchange for the service, but it's not completely true. A devotee wants to see a glimmer in the eye of Krishna, a glimmer of recognition for the service. Right? Just to see that Krishna loves the service, just like my grandmother loved to make pancakes for us, and then she tried to, we'd eat 25 pancakes each, and then after we became pancakes. And then she was in ecstasy to see us lying there like pancakes. Because, that seeing that appreciation in us, that we loved it, that made it happen. That's there. So spiritual world is also, the things can be brought under control. Some more easily, right? Desire trees and wish-fulfilling desire cows and no old age and everything is much more under control than here. But it's not about bringing things under control, it's about bringing Krishna under control. Mamata, Krishna is mine. I'm not Krishna's, he's mine. That's the spiritual. Anyway, enough. Back to the chaos then. I wish you a happy day of management in the world of chaos. You can, I guess.
So we were talking about all these Kadamba sometimes and how they have spontaneous attraction to Krishna and we listen to these stories. But there is always one reverend, even in how can we overcome this? Is it an obstacle actually, and how to overcome it? How to make things like it's possible for us?
For us at this stage, in Vaidhi Bhakti or in reverence is not an obstacle. Because we had become so casual and so disrespectful. We need it, right? I mean, you can't really go, hey Krish, here's your grub, right? Which translates into Krishna, here's your meal. That would be a bit too casual, right? And I'm not going to ring a bell because I don't like anybody ringing a bell when I'm eating either, right? So, and, help yourself, kind of thing. You could. So we need to be trained in deity worship and awe and reverence because we don't have it. We are very disrespectful. So we first have to learn the awe and reverence before we can give it up. So that comes later. Like bowing down, we bow down as a duty, all the way on the ground. The first time I was so embarrassed, I thought everyone is looking at me now. I knew it. It was terrible. Go all the way down on the ground. Right? God, it's very difficult to do. But eventually, it's not about just putting our body on the ground. It's actually our will. We have to bend our will and completely say, Krishna, I am yours and whatever you desire, without any resistance. That I will gladly do. Well, it takes a lot of bowing with the nose on the ground as an exercise before we actually internally catch up. So it's all external at first. So we need the external bow down on the ground again and again. So like this, we need this. Okay, now I'm going to finish for real. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.